Alright guys, let's go over the properties of operations. So the first property we're going to talk about is the commutative property. Remember, if you cannot print out the page, that you need to write the information into your notebook. Alright, so commutative property is defined as when two factors are multiplied, the product is the same no matter the order they are in. And this is also the case for addition. So there's a commutative property of multiplication and there is a commutative property of addition. So I am going to write an example for both. Alright, so the commutative property of multiplication. So if I have 5 times 3, it gives me the same answer as 3 times 5. So the commutative property states that no matter the order, your answer will still be the same. And the same goes for addition. Alright, and I'm just going to do a quick little illustration, and I'm just going to do it for multiplication. So if I do a heart times a star, it gives me the same thing as a star times a heart. Alright, and we know it works the same for for addition. Alright, the associative property is when multiple factors are multiplied, the product stays the same even when the grouping changes. And this is the case for addition as well. So we have an associative property of multiplication as well as an associative property of addition. Alright, so I'm going to do an example for both. So if I do and I'm just going to do an example for multiplication, but it works the same for addition. Alright, so if I put 5 times 3 in parentheses and then multiply that by 2, I get the same answer as in if I do 3 times 2 and then multiply that by 5. That is the associative property. It doesn't matter how you group them, your answer is going to be the same. And you notice I did not change the order of the numbers, I just changed the grouping. Alright, quick example. Alright, and that is the associative property. The next property is the identity property, and the identity property states that the product of any factor and 1 is that number, and for addition, the sum of any number and 0 is that number. So identity property says that if I multiply 5 times 1, my answer is going to be that number. And if I add 5 plus 0, my answer is going to be that number. Alright, that is the identity property. Quick picture. So let's do a heart and times 1. It's going to give me a heart. And a heart plus 0 is going to give me a heart. Alright, that is the identity property. The distributive property, we're going to go into a little more in depth than the others. The distributive property is when you give. So distribute means give. You give the number or variable on the outside of the parentheses to both numbers on the inside of the parentheses by multiplying. Alright, so the distributive property looks like this. So I have a number on the outside of the parentheses, and I'm multiplying that by the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. So that means I give 5 to 3, and I give 5 to 2 through multiplication. So that gives me 5 times 3 plus 5 times 2, which gives me 15 plus 10. Alright, so in this sense, we would not solve this per se because we're just simplifying it. Alright, so simplifying it would be 15 plus 10. Alright, and let's do a quick example. All right, and that is the distributive property. So this in essence will give us heart star plus heart triangle. All right, so let's go a little further in detail concerning the distributive property. All right, so these are Cornell notes, and you've seen them before, so you know after you fill in your notes, you need to write your questions and summarize your notes in your own words.